In our lecture on responsible leadership on a global level, let's now come to examples. Who are then responsible leaders? And we hesitate because it's always delicate to take examples. Because there are millions and millions of people who take with all their energy and intelligence and wisdom and commitment their task as leaders very seriously, and they are responsible leaders. We often see more the negative examples of corrupt politicians, of corrupt business people, but we should emphasize there are a lot of people who are very serious, committed, and honest and straightforward in their leadership. They even take risks, they suffer, they are willing to carry forward their organization or their goals that they have to fulfill. But let me take two examples which were very worrying for me. I did in my book on responsible leadership a short comparison between two famous African leaders, Mandela and Mugabe. And my question was, what makes the difference? Why is one worldwide seen as almost a saint, Mandela from South Africa, who died, and Robert Mugabe from Zimbabwe, who is seen as a dictator, because both of them started with very similar background. They both had good education. They have been in the independence struggle. They wanted to give back or help to give that back, the dignity of their people. So they had a similar commitment. How does it come that one on the way of leadership becomes somebody who is seen as a saint and another one who is seen as a dictator? That was my question. Because if we talk about responsible leadership, we want to know what makes me a responsible leader and what hinders me, or where is the obstacle where I try and start to fall. When I read again and again these biographies of these two personalities, I found one key factor, and that is this question of how can I be committed to community? We see in these biographies that Mandela from the very beginning was somebody, even as a young person already, who was inclusive, who was able to reconcile with the enemy or with the other, who was able to bring on board those who differed from him, who was able to build communities, inclusive communities. Whereas in the biography of Mugabe, we see the factor that he always tried to be the boss, to control, to exclude others, and even to disconnect with those whom he has seen as his threat and enemy. So responsible leadership, I think, means then to be able to be inclusive, to bring forward the common cause where I'm responsible for. So these are just a few thoughts on this one example that I try to describe in my book. And the key question is there how to make it, how can I be protected from failing in my responsible leadership, even if I start on a good way. And that, I think, is where ethics come in. That means that all of us have the potential to fail, to turn from a good leader into a leader which is somehow no more able to be a good leader. So we need the correction from the others, and I think that is one of the key elements. A leader should always be able to integrate other views and other perspectives, to be open for correction, for self-criticism. And let me, in that context, also take another example a very simple one. I would also call it a responsible leader, but a responsible self-leadership. My neighbor is somebody who has only primary basic education, no higher education, a factory worker. He started working in the factories right from primary school to retirement, the whole life in the same meat factory. A person of great virtues and values, modest, with integrity, with honesty, with reliability, also with curiosity to learn more and more. So a person, not a leader, a big leader known in the public, but a great responsible leader of himself. He is able to lead himself in all modesty, but in all values-driven behavior and as a virtuous person. So I think we should, when we look at examples of leadership, not only look at the big figures, the TV stars, the movie stars, the singers, the media stars, the politicians, but also look at those in our neighborhood who can lead us to better responsible leadership.